Welcome everybody and good morning. This is the new X-Rite webinar. Speaker and presenter of today is application specialist Richard Gray, based in UK. In this webinar, we will show you how to create your own print layouts working with InkFormulation 6 software. You can write your questions during the webinar in the right-hand panel. At the end, we will take some time to give answers. Thanks for your attention, and now let's Richard start the session.
Good morning, everybody. What we would like to do is do a short PowerPoint presentation just to start the webinar. Then we're going to show some practical examples of within InkFormulation itself. So, in terms of the specifics of the print layout editor within InkFormulation 6, just some background information. Firstly, within InkFormulation 5, the previous version, there was no different print formats. There was a standard A4 printout, which you can see on the right-hand side, and this wasn't possible to edit or create in any way. Okay. One of the main requests within InkFormulation 6 was more flexibility with this particular printout. Requests were for be able to move, delete, and add data, to put in different fonts and modify the size. More importantly, to insert specific company logos as required. Also, later on in the webinar, you'll see how to create and edit barcodes within the label printer itself. It is now possible to create any number of individual templates. These can be edited from 3 existing defaults within the software, which we will show you. Now, these can be generic for all users. For online systems, these can be specific for customers or individual users. Again, for customers using online systems for numerous customers and end users, it is then possible to only see one or several specific print layouts for that customer. Also, prior to printing, you can get a full preview and look at different formats. All the templates themselves are based around an XML reporting format, and these can be shared through IFS itself, through the database structure, or simply by sharing the simple XML files. What we will do now, we will then look through the practical examples that we've just spoken about and show you in a little bit more detail how these can be achieved. So within InkFormulation itself, initially you have this option, the Setup Printer option. Here is where you would navigate into the report designer and then change and customize specific layouts as required. Just to show you some brief specifics on the screen here. Firstly, you can see there are some icons to the left of the individual examples. These 3 here, with this icon, are the defaults within the software. So if I select recipe A4, for example, I don't have any odd options to modify or delete these. An icon such as this means that this is available for all users. An icon such as this at the bottom means that this particular output is only for one specific user. Here is the report location. Okay, again, for online systems, for individual users, they can have individual reports in a custom folder. So very simply, within Explorer, we can go straight to this specific field. Okay, these can be shared as any other document. I also have the option here to set up my specific printer and properties within. To then customize reports, it's quite straightforward. Initially, what you would do is choose one of the existing defaults, such as this A4 format. If I wanted to modify this A4 format, I choose the New from Existing option. Simply by pressing this, it will ask me for a specific name, so I can put in here a description. And by doing that, it takes me straight into the Report Designer software, which is embedded within IFS 6. Here we can see the specifics of the print layout. I can do several things in terms of modification. Initially, if required, I can remove an entire detail. So for example, I don't want to see the spectral graph on a printout. I can simply remove that by selecting Report, Details and Grouping. Here we can see the individual subsections. If I want to remove the graph, I simply highlight and remove. If I want to change the print layout in terms of how it is organized, I can move up or simply move down. Once I've made a change, I can preview the report before saving. Quite simply, Report, Run Report to Preview. As you can see, the graph is removed. What we can also do is then customize this for specific customers. The defaults contain the X-Rite logo. This logo can be highlighted just by a mouse click and then simply deleted. I can then, from the Insert function, insert an image. Highlight on the specific area that I want to insert the image in, and a dialog box will appear. Quite simply, just look up the image in JPEG format. Here I have an example prepared. Just simply a graphic such as that, and apply. This then puts in the specific customer graphic as required. This can then be moved, snapped into position, increased in size as required. Again, Run Report to Preview. You can see the changes that we've made. Okay. What can also be done is that any of this data can be modified or deleted as required. So it can be specific to customer requirements. Customer may only work in LCH, so we can simply highlight the LAB fields and simply remove. Again, Run Report to Preview. You can check your changes. If you've made a mistake or deleted something in error, simply choose the undo function, which would restore the formats that you've deleted. We can also change the printout accuracy. If I look at the component list here and the amount column, again double clicking will get you into the individual properties. The default is to 3 decimal places. Here I can then change this down to 1 or whatever your customer requires. Again, apply that. The preview now is 1 decimal place only. Again, specific customers may not want pricing. Again, pricing can be removed. Or edited to suit. Once you've made the specific changes for this customer, we can then come out of the reporting format and it is saved, okay, as webinar test. If I then choose a specific formulation, just simply as this example here, if I press the printer button, I have the option to preview, and I can choose from any of the layouts that are within that file location. Again, preview, and this is the customer specific printout as edited. Okay. So quite quickly you can generate a number of different customer specific layouts as required. One of the other very useful features within the layout preview is that we can also insert barcodes. If I choose the label output, for example, and again do new from existing, this shows this specific A5 label print, which you may be familiar with. What we can do here, we can take the default, we can delete the graphic, and then insert barcode. Okay. Just prior to that, what we need to do is pick up this string within the data source for the name of the color. Quite simply, when you double click in here, this will be highlighted. Simply copy, Control C, and then insert barcode. As with the graphic earlier, I simply put the crosshair over the area I want to add it in, and the properties box appears. Okay. Now here is where you put the specific information. It defaults to this, which is a static barcode number. Okay. Here is where you would have to manually type in the relevant barcode number. However, you also have the option for a data source. This is why I copied the designation field earlier. If I select data source, and then in the data source column simply paste back in the designation for the specific color I want to print, and remove the static data. The barcode type to display on screen will be this extended code here. Apply and OK. Again, we can run report to preview, and we can look at the positioning of the individual barcode. See here we're slightly off center, so we can take this, move it up to suit. Probably a little bit to the left again. There we go. So then we can save this as webinar test 2, come out of the application. And again, we have a separate layout. Again, going back into this example, if I then print from webinar test 2, the barcode appears. We can zoom in and we can see it's specific to the designation of this particular ink. Again, as an example, I can choose another recipe, simply entitled barcode. Run the preview again. And it automatically picks up the relevant designation for that ink. So there are some practical examples using Print Preview Editor. Many thanks for your time. We will now take questions through the webinar process.
Thank you, Richard. We give some moments to the attendees to type their question.
Okay, no problem.
I think that during the webinar they were just concentrated on the presentation, so they actually have not typed nothing for the moment, but just give them some
no problem.
minutes. Yep.
No problem.
Okay, so I suppose that everything was really clear because nobody raised their hand.
Okay,
so
good.
If you are fine, I take back the monitor.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, and I would like to remind that actually the webinar has been recorded, and you're gonna find the video starting from tomorrow morning on our blog, xritecolor.com. And of course, we're gonna also email you the link to watch the presentation again. Thank you for your time, and thanks, Richard, for the presentation. I wish you all a nice day. Thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.